Hey, beautiful people. This is Sean Lacey, aka Miss Officer. It is 1:23 a.m. Wednesday morning, August the 23rd, 2023. I first and foremost want to thank you all, everyone who has tuned into anything that is on my YouTube, on my Facebook, social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I want to thank you all because you all give me energy and strength to do what I do. One of the things I realize is that at this point, there is beginning to be a lot more individuals who are beginning to tune in. And I think what I'm about to say is not only necessary for the new people who are beginning to tune in, but for you all who have been here with me from day one as well. I think it's just time for me to share some of these things because at this point, it's becoming more of a burden to carry it and not release it. Um, and it's just so necessary at this point. So one of the things that made me realize that it's very important to share this at this time is because a few days ago I was at an event and it was a young man who came to my table to talk to me. He just wanted general information, but just like when anyone comes to me, I always try to assist them by running their record and explaining to them what's on the record. So he didn't want to give me his information. And the reason he didn't want to give me his information is because he knew he had an open warrant. And because of who I am, being a former police officer and not trusting police officers, period, he felt that it was a possibility that I would run the record and perhaps see what the warrant was or something, and I guess apprehend him because he was extremely apprehensive. And the thing is, and I say apprehend, I should say arrest him, even though I could not arrest him um, because I'm no longer a police officer. But that's how much he did not want to give me his information. And it grieves me, it grieves my heart because the divide is so wide between the community and police officers. The trust, the distrust, all of that is constantly an issue. So, what I need you all to know is that I'm not here to hurt anyone. I'm 100% here to be of assistance to you, to serve you, and help you in any way that I can. Now, let me tell you a little about me as for my life in policing and just things in general, my morals and values. And I pray after you hear some of these things, again, I pray that you all will be more willing to interact with me. Because one of the things that I always find, of course, is the fact that you all, the people, you all think that all cops, all police officers are bad. And no, the vast majority of officers are not bad. And I'm not just saying this to try to appease you or to make you feel like I'm on a particular side, because I'm not. But I will tell you, the vast majority of police officers are good people. And just like you, they have families, they have hobbies, or they have things that they love that entertain them. They are human beings just like you, but they're working in a profession that at any given second, I'm not going to even say any given moment, any given second, they can be called to a situation to save you and lose their own lives. And I think you all don't understand sometimes how officers are just human beings. Yes, it's training that has to be done. It's a level of knowledge that has to be obtained, licensure by the state of Texas, that has to be obtained to become a police officer, or I should say a Texas peace officer, or a peace officer anywhere. Um, but even though you train, you put on your badge, you put your weapon on your side, and you go out to patrol or you go out on a call, these are still just human beings with human needs no different than yours. And sometimes the chatter is so loud about negativeness that surrounds police officers or law enforcement officers. I'll say, because I'm going to say law enforcement officers, because there are constables, there are deputy constables, there are deputy sheriffs, there are police officers, there are marshals, there are state troopers. All of these fall under law enforcement. And then there's other officers, railroad officers, school officers. So it's a lot of facets to this. But the public, the general public seems to think that officers don't care. And again, officers are just human beings who policing or law enforcement, serving and protecting, has become their career choice. Now, I'm going to say this personally from my point of view. So, y'all walk with me on this and just listen. Listen to me. I went through a police academy. First and foremost, I came home from the Army. Um, Started at the Harris County Sheriff's Office in 1993. 2 years, 93, 94, 95. Actually, 3 years later, I went through the police academy and became a Texas peace officer. Now, the thing about policing is, for me, it's not like it was something I dreamt of becoming. or anything of that nature because before leaving home for the Army, I wanted to become a doctor. As a matter of fact, all my life, I should say from a little girl up until maybe about 22, 23 years old, I wanted to be a doctor. And because I wanted to be a doctor, I went to the high school for health professions, which is called the Bakey now. But I grew up extremely poor, you all. I grew up in Houston's, well, our city, Fifth Ward. I grew up in Fifth Ward, the only girl with four brothers, three older and one younger, and with a single mother. So we had extremely hard times. I grew up extremely poor. And I'll say this, and it's painful to say, but I want you all to get an understanding of who I am. The better understanding you have of me, the better understanding you will know what I do. I do it to serve my city, to make my city a better place. And I should say our city. So, grew up extremely poor. The first time ever in my life I can remember having food the entire month was the first month I was in the United States Army, and I was at 19 years old. We were that poor. But the thing about my family being poor, most people didn't know because my mother did her best to keep us clean, keep us taken care of. Um, she raised us to be mannerable. She raised us to be respectful and to just have a genuine love for people. It was a time I used to get angry, but I wouldn't show it to my mother, but I would get angry inside because I was like, I would think, why do we have to be poor and live the way we were living? You know, when I would look at my cousins, they stayed in the house, same house from the time they were born to the time they went off to college. But it seemed like every 6 months or so, a year probably was the longest we ever stayed in one location. We moved a whole lot of places. But my mother always kept a roof over our heads. We were never homeless. Um, but the greatest thing that she did was she took us all to church. And by her taking us all to church, we all gained a relationship with God, with Jesus, and accepted him as our personal saviors as at a young age. So from the time I was a little girl all the way up until now, you know, that was my everything. Jesus, my everything, is who brought me through every storm, every trial, every heartache, heartbreak, tribulation, hungry nights, scary nights, because I also served in the United States Army during Operation Desert Storm. I never went in country to Iraq because my military job sent me to South Korea. So during Desert Storm, I was stationed in South Korea. Um, like I say, this is kind of hard because I need you all to know who I am. The more you understand who I am, the more you understand why I do what I do. And I have a genuine love calling and purpose for doing what I do. But because my mother did take us to church, she gave me and my brothers the greatest gift that anyone could ever be given, and that's the gift of knowing Jesus for ourselves. Now, growing up in Fifth Ward, as much as parents can do or a parent can do, there's an element in in the neighborhood, any neighborhood like Fifth Ward, there's always an element that's just waiting and lurking to pull unsuspecting minds and hearts into darkness. It's just what it is. It's poverty all around. People are trying to do their best to just live and survive, and a lot of times by any means necessary. So in 1983, between 1983 and 86, when the crack cocaine epidemic hit so hard in our city, I was a teenager growing up in Fifth Ward. So I saw people smoking crack. I saw people get hurt. I've seen bodies laying on the ground. I've seen drug paraphernalia. And I saw Ashes in it. I'm not going to say I saw, because I saw everything that anyone growing up in the hood saw coming up. But I think about how loud my neighborhood was for a young person who wanted to do better in life, but it just was no peace. Trains running all night, ambulances running all night, police cars running all night. Then you hear fire engines, just so much noise. Oh, so that's just a piece of my upbringing. But my upbringing, I'm sure, is no different than so many of our upbringings. One of the hardest things after finally leaving Fifth Ward, going to the United States Army, coming home, coming back home and becoming a police officer, was I had the biggest identity crisis ever. As a Black woman police officer, you don't fit in anywhere. You don't fit in with your peers anymore. Being Black and a woman, you don't fit into what's considered a police officer. You just don't fit in. And then to top it off, if you are a Black officer, especially a Black female police officer, and you're trying to help someone better themselves, give them a little knowledge about things, then you really don't fit in. And because of that, I caught a lot of grief over the years during my policing career, a lot of heartache because you just don't fit in. You have the community saying, oh, we don't trust police officers. We hate cops. But then here I am, this cop in uniform, trying to talk to my community and get mistreated because of the profession. And this wasn't even a profession I chose. It's a profession that chose me because God placed me in it. But then you have the officers who don't think you deserve to be there. Again, I will say the vast majority of police officers are good people. And I don't want to sound cliche in saying this, but just like with any career, you're going to have your dirty few. You're going to have those dirty few. And that's with any career or any profession. So, like I say, I started off my career at the Harris County Sheriff's Office, which we all know the history of the Harris County Sheriff's Office and who basically runs that system even today. So I never ever just fit in. And actually, I never tried to fit in. But because I would not, it made life extremely hard for me. So again, I had the worst identity crisis. And I think I'll share more fine details, more fine stories about it as time goes on. Some of the incidents that came about with me, not just from officers or supervisors, but also just people in my community. And when I say my community, I'm talking about going back to Fifth Ward and how I would get looked at and just get treated as a black female police officer. It has not been easy, y'all. It has not been easy for me, but I have pushed because when you know that you have been called to something greater than you, something that you try to walk away constantly or push away from it constantly, and no matter what, it continuously calls you. As a matter of fact, it greets you when you wake up in the morning and hugs you when you go to sleep at night. So then what do? I'm going to bring this to a close because I feel like I kind of dragged on because I have so much inside of me. I love what I do, but it comes with a heavy cost. Now, especially with the assisting people and expunging records, one of the first things I will say to you all when I begin to assist you is that I am not an attorney. And I must make that clear because one of the crosses I carry right now It's the fact of will I get into issues because of someone saying I'm practicing law? It's a heavy cross to carry, you all. But again, it's what I've been called to do. So I won't stop. But as I start to tell you all more and tell y'all more stories about who I am and how my life started and how life was and as a police officer and how life is now working within the system because I'm still a private investigator. So working in the system, but at the same outside of the system, it's a hard place to be. But I do need you all to help me with something. Remember, just like you are a human being, every officer you come in contact with is a human being. Just like you want to be respected, they want to be respected. They are going through life themselves. They are going through life just like you're going through life. You know, we got to do better for one another because we all need each other. Even though a lot of times we think we don't, but we do. We all need one another. Mm. But I need you all to come on and get on board with me and help me walk this out. I need you all to help me get my subscriber numbers on YouTube up majorly. I need you all to share this because one of the things that I know is that our city needs a voice in this arena. I'm not talking about as for a politician or anything like that. I mean a platform of voice where change can be made, discussions can be held, laws can be created to make us all be able to come together and work collectively to make things better for us all. I always hear the community say, if it's so many good cops, why don't y'all get on the bad cops? It's not that we don't, but the thing is, most of you all from the community, you all will talk, but you all will not back us up. You all will not support us when we do start pointing out the bad or the rotten apples. We don't want you all to just talk about it. We need you all to be about it. And I'm not talking about anything forceful. I'm just talking about a voice. And one of the best things you can do, and one of the first things you can do is subscribe to my YouTube channel so we can start having some discussions and bringing things to the forefront. I can't do it without you all. I'm not going to give up. I promise that. Because God told me if it's only one and you helped one, then you succeeded. I'm not a person about the likes and the fanfare and all of that. As a matter of fact, I'm really a quiet, reserved person who don't like to be in front of a camera. But in order to create some change in our city when it comes to the system and how the system treats us, or how we allow the system to treat us because we don't use our voice. And I'm not talking about voting, because I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about just strictly having a voice. Right now, help me to be that voice, because this is not easy what I do. I'm pulled in so many different ways daily. And honestly, I don't like to use the word tired, but I do feel tired. So you all help hold me up, and I'll be your voice, but I need you all there. I need you all support. Again, one of the biggest things I need to do is get my YouTube channel numbers up. So when I do have to go to talk on or speak on you all's behalf, everyone will see and know I'm coming and I'm meaning business, and that I have numbers, because the numbers represent you all. That I have people, I have the community that's standing with me. Okay. And before I close, because it's like 30 minutes, yeah, a little like 30 minutes since I first started. Yes, 31 minutes. Um, I will say this again. I'm the only girl of four brothers. My oldest brother died as a kid. I have a brother who is a year older than me, who during the 80s crack cocaine epidemic, he was at 19 years old, he was sentenced to 32 years in prison as a first time offender. 32 years under the Joe Biden crime bill. And he served 29 years flat. And then my youngest brother was murdered right here in Houston, and he's a cold case. My great grandfather was the 178th person electrocuted in the Texas electric chair. So I'm not foreign to what you all go through. I promise you that. It's only by God's grace that I didn't get in trouble or caught up in anything. I'm not foreign to any of it. I've seen every aspect of this Texas justice system in one way or another. So let me help you, but you gotta help me too. All right, because I have a resource event to go to in a few hours in the morning. Well, which it is already morning, but later on this day. So I'm gonna get ready to turn in. But I'm gonna bring you all more. And my goal is to get in front of the camera more. Like I say, I'm just not the person that's about the fanfare life, but I am about making a change for the people I love. And I love each one of you. I love our city. When I went off to the army, I couldn't wait to get back home to Texas. It's no place, it's no other place in this world that I'd rather be than right here in Houston, the best city in the entire world. We just gotta all come together and let her continue to be the great city she is. We can only do that by sticking together. All right, Houston. And you all will begin to hear me say legal gangster more and more and more. And I'm going to start giving you all some definitions about who a legal gangster is. I know it's an oxymoron, and legal and gangster don't usually go together, but it's all about being a legal gangster. It's all about being your authentic self, using the things you were given to make a change in the best way you can, but doing it all on the up and up. You know, it's okay to be a little hood in anything you do if that's who you are. But it's also okay to be righteous and be right on the side of the law. All right. I love you all. And I shall see you all later today. This is Sean Lacey, aka Ms. Officer, signing out. Love you. Bye bye.